everyone. Welcome to Pod Maverick. I am Kirk Henderson, joined as always by Josh Bowe. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. I can't believe it's July. I can't believe free agency is kind of over. Was hoping we could squeeze a couple more shows out of that, but
There's just nothing. There's nothing. Like I follow a Warriors guy named Andy Liu, and he retweeted someone today.
Oh, it's so funny. They haven't done anything. Literally.
He retweeted this guy saying, "Geez, man, the first and second apron cap stuff has ruined basketball and free agency. This stuff is confusing and boring," and that's just really it for me.
Yeah.
It's kind of surprising that the NBA, is neutered itself in this particular way, but they'll find a way to change it in some way, shape, or form because it's a money making time, it's an attention drawing time. And there just really wasn't much to do. I mean, Woj was part of it, but it's also there's less to report on, I think is the big part of it.
Yeah, there's nothing going on. And then specifically for the Mavericks, we talked last week because that had already been pretty much a done deal.
Yep.
About D'Angelo Russell, and that I think when we talked last week, we said, okay, they might do something else, and at this point, I don't think they're going to do anything else besides, bring back Exum, dump a roster spot to make the room for him. But that big trade that I kept just assuming was going to happen because they have 2 starting centers and 3 starting forwards. I just assumed they were going to make a consolidation trade. I don't think it's happening.
Let's go ahead and I know what the show title says. I know what our rundown kind of says. Let's go ahead and flip this and sort of talk about the news elements of what has happened the past couple, like the past 6 or 7 days. And then we can talk a little bit more about Summer League. I think the first one that's at least important enough to me, because it directly relates to what you're talking about, free agency, and I think we can talk about that a little bit, is Kyrie Irving, for apparently the second time in the last several weeks, though it didn't make news the first time, he was asked on a live stream if he would be ready for the playoffs. And more or less, just to sum up his words, and I don't want to put words in his mouth or anything, but he actually, why am I doing this? I wrote the piece. Let me just go read to you what the guy said, because he's an overly wordy guy. Okay. Like he reminds me of my mother in that way, where it's just, he uses 15 words where 6 will do, but he says it in such like pleasant tones that he's really easy to listen to. And so I'm going to read this, and it's going to seem like a long sentence. Kyrie made it just, he's real quick. When asked if he was going to play in the playoffs, he said, "Don't hold your breath on that. It doesn't mean that I won't be back. It's just that I don't want to make any predictions on when I'm going to be back. I just want to be back 150,000% better. So I'm taking my time right now to get really healthy. I'm taking my time to get my body right, to get other portions of my body right, and really just enjoy the recovery process. It's not pretty. Yes, it's a beautiful struggle, but I go through the mental roller coaster every day just wanting to be back out there." Classic Kyrie, where if you're not listening to him and you read this, enjoy the recovery process, pushed a few people in my replies like over the edge where they're like, "What is he doing? He needs to get back out there." And it's one of these things where he didn't really get his surgery until the swelling went down towards the end of March. So effectively April 1st. So if you count 12 months out from April 1st, that's sort of the timeline that I think everyone should be considering. Not January, not December. Sorry, Dalton. Love you. The Mavericks are I'm not sure where Shams Charania decided to go with the December thing. I'm be very curious as to where that came from way back when. We're just not going to have Kyrie. And I think everyone should sort of mentally prepare themselves to not have Kyrie for the season. And if he happens to make a debut in April as the Mavericks are possibly making a playoff push, then all for the better. But that directly relates to what you were talking about a second ago, as far as you were expecting another shoe to drop, because this is who the Mavericks are.
Yeah, I'm glad he came out with that, because I was getting really annoyed about talking about Kyrie's recovery, because it's like To saying a 33 soon to be, is he 30? He'll be 34 sometime this season, I think. 34-year-old, 33 soon to be 34-year-old guard who has had multiple surgeries on the knee that he injured already. By the way. Yeah, he had, remember in Cleveland and Boston, he had a knee surgery in Boston, and then it got
I never put that together.
and they had to fix it. It was the same knee that he tore his ACL at. Remember, he threatened Cleveland, like, trade me or I'll get this knee surgery now and like be out for the season or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he got the surgery anyway. And then like it didn't, he had to get it redone because it like got infected or something. So I don't know, but
there was issues. I'm remembering.
Yeah, he has been under the knife on this knee before. Yeah. He's going to be 34 years old. He's a smaller guy. Like, right. Saying, hey, they should be cautious with him, don't rush him back, and getting all this, well, you don't fucking know Kyrie, and like he's gonna be back in 8 months better than ever, and you're just being a negative, you're just bitching again because you're captain of the 77 fan club, and it's like, guys, can you just shut the fuck up? Like, there's so much you guys can get mad at us about, and you will. There will be a moment in 6 months you'll get mad at us. We'll do a post-game show when Anthony Davis scores 6 points and they lose a game and he looks disinterested, and I get up here and I talk about how much he sucked in that game, and you get mad at me then. Like, save your ammo. Like, there's enough that you guys can get mad at us about being negative or pessimistic about something, but us being like, hey, let's just get Kyrie right however long that takes, don't rush him back, don't waste your ammo on that, because that's pretty normal. Like, that's just human. I say, from a human to human, I want him to be as healthy as he. Like, I don't want him to come back and be worse or hurt himself again. Like, just however long it takes, make sure he's right and get him back on the floor healthy and comfortable. Like, I just, that causing a stir among the fan base, being like, oh, no, it's just get him healthy.
I just also think it's, to me, like, if we understand that game to game, I can be kind of extraordinarily negative about stuff. Mm-hmm. But I would like to think over the long term, I'm pretty realistic. I would never call me an optimist, but I try to be realistic. And I think it's just much more mentally healthy to be surprised by a Kyrie return than be upset by a potential letdown of it never happening. Like, it reframes the season's expectations. And I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen any early over-unders, but MGM had the Mavericks at 38.5. Like, this stuff just plays into kind of our conversation where the people who do this stuff for a living this far out are a little tepid on the Mavericks. Now, I'm of the belief that 5 games every NBA season are complete bullshit for a particular team. So the Mavericks could win 40 to 45 games, and I would not be surprised. But right now, the team that we have is the team that we have, and that's headlined by the acquisition, at least in free agency, of D'Angelo Russell, who has played well with Anthony Davis, but I think with his style of play, and I'm stealing this from my friend Dwight, I think he's better as a secondary guy, and the Mavericks need him to be a primary ball handler. And as a result of that, we're just sort of going to live and die by this man's shooting. And he is at least willing to take shots, but the offense is like this far out when you're looking at free agency and sort of what they have and haven't done, because the other guy that they brought in or that they re-signed was Dante Exum, who is another guy who is best as a secondary creator. And not to mention, he seemed like you could tell me he's going to break his ankle because he stepped on a stack of Legos. Like, Dante Exum has the most bizarre injury history of anybody that we've had on the Mavericks in recent years. And so I'm a little tepid about the offseason, but as we discussed last week, I'm not mad at it, because this is sort of the when you choose to do the things they're doing, this is the path that they have to take. And I didn't cover this at all. I didn't really push this out there, but anybody that listens to ESPN's Hoop Collective podcast, Tim McMahon says that he thinks it's pretty likely that PJ Washington will sign the extension that he is eligible for, which I think is pretty fascinating. But again, that doesn't solve any of the potential lineup challenges that we're talking about. It just means they're locking further into a roster that is quite talented, but odd.
It's a very weird. I think I touched on this last week. It's a very weird roster because, like you said, it's very talented, but it's very overlapped positionally, and it's very top heavy in the front court, obviously. And it's like it's weird because there are going to be nights where over the course of an 82 game regular season, there will be stretches where the Mavericks will play 4, 5, 6 games in a row where they have 5 of the top 6 talented players playing in the game, 6 of the top 7. Keep going. 7 of the top 8. Maybe the best 7 players on the roster might be the Maverick. Like, Anthony Davis, all-star, all-NBA level guy. Like Derek Lively was on a path to being, I think, an all-defensive level player last season before it went to hell. Same with PJ Washington. Daniel Gafford would be a starting center for a handful of teams. Klay Thompson, D'Angelo Russell can do a little bit. Of course, Cooper Flagg. Like, there's just their top 7 or 8 is like a bunch of dudes that can really play, but they all play the same. They basically all play the same position, or they at least play the same 2 positions.
Defensively, I really don't like. I don't have very many defensive concerns about this team.
Ooh, I kind of do.
I think they're gonna get shelled from 3 because that's how regular season NBA basketball teams get shelled.
Right. You're right.
But but inside the paint, like this is a Jason Kidd like fever dream of happiness. Like this is ultimately what he kind of talked about 2 years ago.
Right. Unless, you play Anthony Davis at the 4 and you spread them out, Yeah. Funny enough, when they had Davis and Gafford and Lively healthy to close the season, I know it was only a handful of games and the 2 play-in games. They gave up a lot of points in the paint because teams would spread them out instead of bombing them. They would attack them with driving lanes. Now, of course, Davis was playing, I think, at like 40%.
Yeah, and if he doesn't look good, then
it will be bad.
I just have to give the guy the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and if he's healthy, then that'll make a big difference. But I'm just saying there are, I think I said it last week. There will be nights where they will kick the shit out of teams so bad, and they will win games like 105-88, and they will win like 5 out of 6. And there's going to be think pieces on the Ringer, and there'll be podcast episodes, and there'll be stories, and there'll be first take segments, and it's going to be like, are the Mavericks like, is this the new NBA? Like, are we going away from small ball shooting threes? Like, are they bringing the 90s back? Like, is a stylistic change happening in the NBA? Because they will kick the shit out of some teams.
But then it's going to be ugly.
And then
it's going to be 102-88.
Yes, but then they'll have games where they shoot 28% from 3 and the other team shoots 37 for like a week, and they'll lose 5 out of 6 while the other teams are shooting a bunch of threes and they can't hit a jump shot. I think they're just going to be a team of high highs and a team of low lows. So I feel like whatever your take is preseason, if you're someone who's really high on the team and you think that, I think they can win with this roster, you're going to be validated, I think, at certain points. And this is all if the roster doesn't change. If this is what it is going into the season. But you're also, if you don't think the team is very good, I think you will also be validated.
I think just due to the talent, most of the people that I talk to are really pretty excited and have very high expectations. When you pair that with the fact that it feels like every team in the West, except for the Utah Jazz, are really trying, it's just going to be how the schedule breaks for Dallas and how the team comes together. Like, one of the things that's been a bit of a hallmark about Jason Kidd era teams, and that's what made last year just so stupid, is pretty poor starts. And the Mavericks started poorly again last year, but then we're also up 9 games at Christmas. And so I think they were like 19-10 at Christmas. So it was like one of their best starts of the Kidd era. And then everything just went to hell in a handbasket, obviously. So I'm looking for another sharp start from this team. But to bring it back to the free agency focus, they did what they could do, and I'm okay with this. Spencer Dinwiddie is no longer on the team. They have a younger version of Spencer in some ways in terms of like the confidence meter. but he is more talented. He's a former number 2 overall pick. He has a lot riding on his shoulders, and it's not particularly fair to D'Angelo Russell.
It does feel pretty insane that a team with this much talent is going to be relying on Russell to be their starting point guard for like what, 30 to 40 games, like
minimum.
Right. It's kind of crazy. Like you think about all this talent and then point guard, which might be one of the most important positions on the floor.
It's so funny. I hate to do this because it's just when sports podcasts, you made fun of a particular writer in let's just say the broader sports community the other day who does this. But like I've needed something to do during my kids' basketball games. And I am scorekeeper because it's just like, why do I write about the Mavericks? Gives me something to do. And the ball handling positions within these youth sports teams, I feel the stress. It is a very stressful position. And I think sometimes I don't give that enough credit. And that goes all the way up the chain to the NBA level. And so just to have, how many guys are bringing the ball up the floor for the Mavericks? It's not like NBA teams press. But if I was a team like the Thunder, like the Pacers, I would just abuse the Mavericks and make them.
And you don't have to do it all game. Do it for like 5 minutes, and you might get a 15.
Sporadically, to really like just stick the knife in. And it's a worrisome thing. Well, okay, we got a couple more news bits to talk about, and then we'll take a break. Then we'll talk a little bit about Summer League. So, every single Dallas Mavericks coach except for Jason Kidd has left the team. Kind of not really an exaggeration. I don't even have a list up. Like we just kept reporting different guys going.
Yeah, Sweeney's gone, Jensen's gone, Dudley's gone, Shamgod's gone. But was Shamgod on the bench?
Shamgod was a backbencher.
Okay. Yeah. But who was front bench? Kidd, Sweeney, Jensen, Dudley. Was it just those 4? I can't remember.
I think so. I mean, and so they've replaced all these guys with we've got to be honest about this. Like some really good names. Like Phil Handy has come in to replace Shamgod, and he's one of Kyrie's dudes. And by all accounts, just an absolute wizard with individual skill development, particularly in the ball handling front. We have Frank Vogel coming in to be the second head assistant, along with who's the guy? Jay Triano? Is that?
Yeah, Jay Triano, former
and then
Raptors
there's
head coach.
Who's this? We didn't even cover this. The shooting coach that got brought in from the Nuggets, Pembernathi.
Yes.
I can't remember his first name.
Mike
Pembernathi. No,
I'll say it wrong. My bad. I thought we were. Didn't
our
website do something?
American basketball coach. Yes. Okay. So he's a former player who's worth looking into. That he's a 2-time NAIA 2-time All-American, and he held the consecutive record with games made with a 3-pointer at 111. Like he was a low-level college basketball player that was also an incredible shooter. And he ended up making the NBA for 1 year, and he actually won a ring with the Lakers in 2001, believe it or not. And he's been with the Nuggets the past several years, but nobody knew who he was with the Nuggets because head coach Mike Malone did not like that Calvin Booth hired him and therefore barred him from the facility. I shit you not. This guy was just like working off-site with the players that Mike Malone hated. So now he's with the Mavericks with some guys that could use some shooting help. So
and weren't him and Handy on the 2020 Lakers staff?
Probably. I mean, we're as Rolex says in the chat, LA Mavericks. Like there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah. Just bringing in more LeBron guys, right? For the inevitable acquisition.
Well, and I just wanted to point all this out to where I think a couple of podcasts ago, we were raising a critical eye to what the Mavericks were doing in terms of stability. And I just think I'm not going to go so far as to what our friend Kevin Gray at DLLS did, where he's like, the Mavericks have had a good offseason. I think this is all good stuff for the Mavericks. Like some coaching decisions. We don't know what some of these people do, but I feel confident in the names and the pedigree, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah, trying to get into the weeds and what an assistant coach brings or what you're losing from an assistant like we're not the stuff that they bring to the table is not stuff we're privy to. So
It was fun.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break here, and then we will be back to talk about the Summer League briefly, and then kind of talk about our schedule for the next, I don't know, several days. So we're going to insert some ads, and then we will be right back. All right, friends, thanks so much for hanging out during our audio ad break. If you're listening on the podcast, we appreciate the support. We really got to find a way to get our listens back up. It has been I know it's the off season, but it's a bit bleak out there. But if you're listening to the ads, I know we have more than we've had from other in years past, but this is sort of mandates from up top. So if you take the minute and a half to listen to those, it actually quite literally does help Josh and I. That's one of the ways. I know I keep getting told to do different stuff like a tip jar or something like that, where you could consider paying us directly instead of
our tip jar. Yeah.
I'll do it. I just don't. With the series of things Josh and I have to do, it's just lower on the priority list. And frankly, while we do like getting paid, this is not like the money is not. The money is an additional incentive. We just, we like talking basketball. I like talking basketball. Sometimes Josh is like, I'm sick of this shit. Whatever. Okay, so Summer League. And guys, believe it or not, this is my 13th straight Summer League for me.
The greatest streak in professional sports.
Maybe 12th. It's a lot of Summer Leagues. I have gone to all of them because I like it. It's a weird place. My wife also lets me go. Very important element of this.
I feel like this is where you recharge your chi every year.
I think that's right. Where it makes me really reconsider, because it's like there's times where you and I have had broader opportunities to like get back into media as a real job, and going to something like this is a reminder that, you know what, maybe I don't. Like this is part of why, like, Josh and I, we're very grateful to the beat reporters who show up and do a lot of the stuff, but it's so taxing. I don't want to say boring, but it's like it's the most hurry up and wait job that I could possibly think of.
Yes, there's a lot of standing and waiting when you're doing sports reporting as a full-time job.
And so I go to this, and I've gone for years and years and years. I've seen some incredibly Josh, he's the Nigerian player, like 5'11" guy. I can't say his name correctly, but it's like Akon, Akonyon, something like that. He ended up being part of the team where the United States beat like LaMelo went nuts in the Olympics and just beat them by like 80 points. He was on the Mavericks Summer League team one year. Jay Crowder, really fun Summer League appearances. I was there for the Dwight Powell 3-point experiment, which was just an incredible point in history. Gal Meckel. And, it occurred to me the other day, do you know when my hatred for Jalen Brunson was actually like founded?
It was Summer League, wasn't it? Because it was his second Summer League, wasn't it?
It was his first Summer League. Do you know what he shot in his first Summer League?
It was so bad.
22%. He could not buy a bucket. It was dreadful. And the Mavericks had guys, Dennis Smith was a fun one for a second, but like they've just never had a fun Summer League team. Derek Lively was the closest. This what we're getting ready for. The luck that the Mavericks have had. This is going to be actual basketball that we're going to watch.
Yeah. This is by far the best Summer League roster they've ever had.
I mean, Cooper Flag obviously
alone,
and he gets you. And this is an important part of this. I know some of you guys might make fun of me for this, but the Mavericks game times are incredible. Josh is going to be able to watch Cooper Flag play on Thursday night. So basically 3 days from now, Thursday night. Then Josh and I are going to be able to record a podcast like it's a regular ass game. And then they play on Saturday at 3 p.m. Now that might be a little bit harder just because, you've got kids and but it's a day game you can watch. And then that'll probably be the only 2 games that Cooper Flag plays, but then they'll play again on Monday and the team will probably play again on like Wednesday or Thursday. 4 games, at least 5 games is the most likely. We'll get into like how we're going to cover this in a little bit, but we got Cooper Flag and then Ryan Nembhard signed immediately. And talk to me a little bit about why Ryan Nembhard is important for this team.
because he's a real point guard, and in Summer League, you don't normally have real point guards. Having like a table setter, like even if he doesn't do anything, for the real roster, like the watchability he will bring to the team. Because Summer League, like you're literally throwing rookies, not journeymen, but guys that have been trying to make rosters that are younger, and you throw them together. What, they get like a week's worth of practice time, so you're already dealing with a lower level of talent outside of like the lottery pick guys playing compared to like an NBA game, and then it's like, okay, so it's lower tier talent, and they don't get a lot of time to practice, and like not all these teams always have like a point. Like they have guards, but they don't always have point guards. Like the Mavericks, were in love with a lot of like 5'11" gunners for their last couple of Summer League teams, and that it just it can be some of the ugliest professional basketball you've ever watched if you really want to sink your teeth into it. So just having a legitimate bona fide college point guard who was very accomplished, almost averaged 10 assists per game last season, like him and Cooper alone, it almost doesn't matter who the other 3 or 4 guys are. That's gonna give them an advantage every time those two play in a Summer League game, and it's gonna make getting through these games and watching them way more entertaining. I mean, you've seen some dog games.
Because honestly, part of the challenge, and I mentioned this before, there was like at one point, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was like the Chinese league leading scorer, and he was the 6 foot tall shooting guard, and he ended up on the Mavs Summer League team. And this guy scored like 50 points a game with the Chinese team. That's 25 made field goals from 2-pointers. He was a gunner's gunner. And what you run into is on some teams, the guards are so shot happy. It looks like an ugly pickup game.
Yeah, there's no flow.
There's no flow. And we did this with the Jaden Hardy experiment 2 years ago. He was supposed to do that. I mean, he wasn't any good at any of it, and that's okay. But that's when you watch it from like teams that don't like they put together Summer League teams, but they don't really need the rosters for it. Like that was the case with a lot of the Mavericks teams when I was in the early teens, and then kind of in the Luka Doncic years too. You just watch these games that are just guard dominated, and you look at this Mavericks roster, and there are 1, 2, 3 guys. Technically 4, if you consider Matthew Cleveland a guard, that are listed as guards out of their 15-guy roster. The rest are forwards. This is a huge Mavericks team. I mean, big dudes. Like it is, and part of me is kind of amused at the construction in that it sort of mirrors what the actual team is, just like all rangy guys. Now we're going to get to see Melvin Ajinka again, apparently, and I don't remember a minute of his Summer League from last year.
He wasn't great. There's nothing really to remember. He shot a lot though, which was
there's Jamarian Sharp, who
7'5", played for the Legends.
He plays basketball because he's tall. That's why he is a professional tall person.
How have we gotten through this Summer League roster and we not talked about your boy Maxwell Lewis?
He's not my guy, but I Maxwell Lewis is probably, if you're they even have a Jalen Williams out of Auburn. Maxwell Lewis, he went to Pepperdine. I think he might have overlapped with our other Pepperdine player from this last year, but
Edwards.
And yes, and he's just this guy where if you watch him play, because I'm pretty sure he's a 2nd round pick. He ended up on the Nets too at a certain point. You just, out of his highlights, I got, all right, this guy's got something. And so he's probably he's the guy that I'm most curious about for both selfish reasons and for sort of like name. Like he's played NBA basketball. So
he was a hot name in that draft 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and he just hasn't really panned.
Right. A lot of our smart draft people really, really liked him. Yeah, and he just hasn't panned out. Went to the Lakers, didn't really do anything. Yeah, went to the Nets. But I'm just teasing you because of the Pepperdine.
Oh, he's a real reminder of how talented the NBA is.
Right. Yeah.
So trying to think where it's just like you go through these guys and like, again, we got a piece coming out from our guy Tyler Edsel on Wednesday where he is much more familiar with a lot of these dudes. And I'm sure any of our Aggies are just very into Zurich Phelps. The Mavericks are not going to win Summer League because that's not really what teams go there to do. But they're going to have a fun team, and Flag gives you at least tangible reason to turn on the TV, but you might see some okay basketball is where we're going with this. So,
yep. And it's outrageous to look at the roster and you look at the birth date of the players.
It's not okay with all these guys. It's not okay.
No, it's not okay. No one's born in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Which is weird to see.
One guy. We got Gabe McLaughlin.
Oh, one guy. There we go. Good for him. At a Grand Canyon University.
Flag being born in December of 06 it's offensive.
It is insane to see. They're all rookies, but it's like 01, 02, 01, 02, 03, and then these guys are all rookies, and he's like 5 years younger than them. And it's just like, oh my God. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, this is not exactly your most in-depth Summer League preview because Josh and I are not experts, but we'll talk about kind of how we're going to cover the next several days. So we'll likely probably record after that first game on Thursday. Yep. The Saturday game, not sure. We will record, but it won't be after because it's the middle of the day for you. But we'll figure something out. And then as far as the other things go, two of our guys from Mavs Moneyball are going to be out there. I encourage people left and right to go to Vegas that are even remotely interested for this just because it's a fun experience. And Tyler and David Trink took me up on that, and they're going. And they've said they'd be willing to podcast. But I'm like, you guys are out here for fun. Like, no. Like, just enjoy the basketball. But maybe we'll do something with those guys. Not really sure. We'll be covering the games pretty well just because our most of our staff is very interested in this.
Yeah. What would you recommend? You are a veteran. For anyone that's listening and is going for the first time, give us the pro tips, give us like a guide to Summer League, like what is the best way to experience it?
So somebody showed me the I got sent in a group chat today the fine lines of the ticket prices. Now keep in mind the ticket prices are like $75. Yeah. But $75 where the game start at noon and end at midnight. So if you're a hardcore guy, you can really watch a lot of basketball. Now, what they used to let you do is leave and re-enter. So you could leave, go get some food, go to the casino for a while, go to the pool, come back and catch a game later. Their ticket this year says they're not allowing re-entry. I have a hard time believing this. The reason is because of the capacity of the two gyms. They sell X amount. They can't they have to sell more tickets than there are seats. They just have to because there's people that come in and out all day long. Now things have gotten a little, the first 3 days are a little music festival-y where it's just too crowded at points. But if you're going, I recommend getting, mapping out which games you want to see. You have to attack it just like you would any sort of busy vacation, where if you want to maximize your time, you need to prioritize what's important to you because the games are back to back to back to back. They play in two different gyms. One starts, then an hour later, another starts. Then when that game's over, it is like the wildest AAU tournament out there. So you just got to be ready to wait in some lines. The smaller gym is a bit chaotic. I like watching games in there from the media seats, but finding a seat in the crowd is extraordinarily difficult. The bigger gym, the UNLV gym, the one where Paul George broke his leg several years ago, there's always seating. Sometimes you got to get a little creative. And there really aren't bad seats in that one. I recommend it for people that like basketball. Like it is, NBA basketball is a little bit more of a, try to think. It's approaching a bit of a niche hobby. Like I find Mavs fans, but like I don't really find anybody that I can talk to about basketball. Not that often because there's not that many people that are like in it like we are. Summer League, if you're at Summer League, like my friend Eric in the chat, you're in it. Like you are, the weird transactions. You're excited to see Zurich Phelps. You're a sicko. And just, you're just understand you're with your people, and it's nice.
Oh, good. Do you lament how popular it's gotten compared to like where it was the first time you went?
No, I feel it's about the same. I mean, sometimes the intensity is more rushed. Like, I don't know if you saw this, but like the 2017 Lakers starting lineup at Summer League was one of the craziest things in hindsight I've ever seen.
Was it like Lonzo, Brandon Ingram? Like, was it when they had all their picks playing?
I'm gonna not only all their picks, but it's like, okay, this is a great one. So the starting lineup is Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, and center who plays for the Clippers now. The
Zubats?
Yeah. and
that's crazy.
There were so many, and so granted, the Lakers fans always travel because like Nevada might as well be the Lakers city. That's why I don't understand why the NBA wants to move there. Yeah. But the Lonzo year was so crazy. But it's like it's crazy every year. There's just people that like watching watching basketball. So it's great.
Good. All right. Cool. Well, you have fun. I'm glad you get the way you make, like, you earned it and you make time for it. Like, good for you, man.
Well, I mean, I'm lucky enough that I get credentialed, but even if I didn't get credentialed,
you would still go.
I would still go just because it's a fun time, and Vegas is such a ridiculous place that it makes you want to go home after about 72 hours. Like, I don't know how to phrase that.
No, I'm with you.
So, all right. Trying to think if there's anything else good that I meant to tell. Have you seen anything lately? Did you watch the F1 movie in IMAX?
No, I didn't. I think we're going to try to go this week. We saw Jurassic Park on Saturday.
They tried.
They did.
It just doesn't work.
I mean, it's a dumb movie, but I
had a good time.
Yeah, I had a good time. My wife loves dinosaurs. And
the Odyssey trailer was mildly upsetting. It felt like a 90s movie trailer where it's just 60 seconds of nothing.
Well, that was absolutely the studio being like, hey, we want to sell this, because he's still filming it. Like,
yes.
Like for him to cut a teaser trailer a year out and he's still filming.
Well, I just must have been living under a rock. I didn't know John Bernthal's in it, and
everyone is in this movie.
John Bernthal might be my favorite living actor at the moment. Like, because he only when he does small parts. Because I've never seen him in The Punisher, and I need to go back and watch that because he's going to be in Spider-Man. 8 Ways Home or whatever. And I don't know. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited about the movies. I'm going to see Superman on Tuesday. We got early tickets for that.
Yeah, we're going Friday.
I'm a little worried. Early reviews bad, but getting to see a Superman with my 8-year-old or my 9-year-old sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, you guys. Everybody stay hydrated out there. Stay out of the sun. I got just brightly burned. Like, so you would cackle at the amount of red I am. I think my son sat on me after I had applied sunscreen, and it didn't occur to me. So it's like half of my body is red. So, all right, team. We'll be back on Thursday with something. This has been Josh Bowe and Kirk Henderson. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here at Pod Maverick. We will see you guys Thursday. Go Mavs.